I want to explore this idea that your biggest disadvantages can actually be your biggest advantages as well. I've been considering this a lot, and to give some full context on why this comes to mind, I'm Portuguese. So as a result, it's like one of the smaller economies in Europe. I don't have direct access to like the US or something, which is where, as a person who's very involved in technology, I want to kind of get involved. I have a little bit of a base out in Singapore, but in general, I have wanted to get a foothold in North America for some time. And I often consider it a disadvantage that, for example, I'm not based there. And I think it's like a big advantage for a lot of people that they don't even realize who live there. And they kind of take that for granted. But one thought that I've been recently kind of playing with and considering is like, you can also flip that on its head. Any disadvantages that you have also form some kind of unique edge about you. And so, for example, yes, I may not have access to that market, but perhaps I'm one of the few people that has access to the kind of Southern Europe market. It might not be as big, but also the competition is going to be equally a lot less. And because my training and context, if you will, comes from like the SF, Twitter, like I lived in London, like that's my context, right? And so the kind of business I know is from those places, which I think is often quite far ahead of other markets that are maybe less developed, such as Lisbon or Portugal in general, or, most of Southern Europe. Like you don't get that technology up front, right? So like Uber or whatever will start in San Francisco and then go to more cities, and then it will eventually come to places like Portugal and Lisbon and so forth. And like it trickles down into smaller and smaller economies. But the fact that I have context of both worlds actually can be a really advantageous thing for me. And this is just one example, but like I've wanted to use this framing more, and I have found myself reflecting on this. Every extra difficulty you face can be, in the long run, an advantage because you know how to confront more difficulty than your competition. You will have to be more resourceful. And that might be painful, in the immediate scenario. Maybe it takes you longer to make your way into some kind of more interesting market or so forth. But you will come with more lessons and more training and so forth. And even if not that much, like just at the very least, you will be able to have a story that inspires more people, that those who were luckier than you will never have. This stands for anybody, right? And I think that's not an advantage to be dismissed. But even just beyond that, like there are all these things that I think I was very often considering disadvantages about like the access that I had. If I take the attitude that I can make these actually advantages, I can make much more out of them. If I just think on a very utilitarian level about what belief serves me. I'm not trying to think about what is objectively true here, which is a key distinction to make. I want to hold beliefs that serve me. I want to hold beliefs that help me, toward my goals. And rather than holding beliefs that, maybe they're slightly more true even, but if they're unhelpful to me, then I don't want to hold them. And so if you flip this stuff on its head, I think it's really productive. And I've often held this belief about people that, I'd say this at least very much for myself, which is my greatest qualities are also my greatest weaknesses. And I think this to be true for most people. Whatever their extreme good side is, usually is a double-edged sword, and their extreme bad side is somehow related to that. And I think the same is true of just your kind of personal conditions. The worst things which you may have in your life may also be the best advantages that you just haven't taken enough, creativity to actually think out how this could help you. I could make a list of reasons why my disadvantages are more disadvantageous than they are advantageous. I said they're more negative than they are positive, but I think that doesn't really serve me. And I should really just take the approach of like focus on that positive side. Yeah, this has come to mind because like I just realized I have some connections into the senior care home industry here in Lisbon. Okay, when I say connections through family, what I mean is like my cousin worked as a nurse. This is literally it. And I happen to have worked on a project for one of my clients, which is a kind of a care home software platform. And so it might be that I can actually bring this to this market. They don't, they're not interested in this Portuguese market. It's tiny. It's like to them, it's pretty irrelevant for a very long period of time. So I can actually go after this market and with some domain knowledge, which is actually really, really interesting and powerful. So it's like I'm putting some context around this thought process and framing that I am trying to anchor myself around. But I thought I'd share. This might be useful for other people too. Anyway, leave any questions if you have them. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this reflection is maybe useful to you. My day was honestly pretty useless. I'm waiting on some stuff, mostly. I'm waiting for a bank transfer that I need to happen before I can have a conversation with this particular person. But I can't stir shit up because I've been waiting for this bank transfer for too long. Called them, got that sorted. I am waiting for the payment for this other guy who wants to kick off a little project, and I'm waiting on some paperwork for the business that I'm buying in Singapore. And there we have it. Like that, my day right now is literally just waiting for shit to happen. There's probably some other stuff I could be doing, maybe reaching out to interesting people. But yeah, today was a pretty nice day. Went to the gym, did my usual stuff. So that's my little update for the day, the personal part of it. I'm going to go ahead and check some comments, and I'm going to head to sleep. Wherever you are, I hope you have a good rest of your day.